Hi.
Hello, Ms. Garza. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come meet with me today.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you for meeting with me, too.
So today we will be going over the scores Emily received in the 3rd grade Iowa Achievement Test taken on December 5th, 2008. And I will cover a few areas on the report.
Okay, what exactly is an achievement test? And why is it called the Iowa test?
Well, the Iowa Achievement Test is a national standardized test that meets our state's requirements. It measures learning in specific subject areas like reading in contrast to an IQ test. The test results are broken down into the norm referenced information on the top and the criterion referenced information right here at the bottom. The norm referenced information shows how the students' scores compare with other students that took the same test in a norm group of like students. It is broken down into subtests such as reading right here, language, math, social studies, and science with the composite score at the bottom. I will go over some scores from a few areas so you can better understand how to read the report.
Okay.
We can start by looking at the standard score. The standard score ranges from 170 to 204 for the 3rd graders with an average of 185. And as you can see right here, Emily scored 198 in reading comprehension. So if we refer back to the bell curve right here, which is a good visual representation of the scores, you can see that she is above average.
Okay. Wow, she did very well.
Yes, she did. Is there anything that y'all do at home that promotes her reading comprehension skills?
Yes. Well, she loves reading on her own. So after she's done with the story, she likes to tell me about the characters and then tell me about the story itself. So
that's great. I encourage you to continue to be involved in her reading. Before we move on, do you have any other questions?
Yes, I was looking at this. What is this GE right here? What does that mean?
That's a good question. The GE stands for the grade equivalent score. This just indicates the grade level and the month in which Emily fell under. So for example, if we go back to the reading comprehension right here, Emily scored a 4.6, which is a 4th grade in the 6th month of the year.
So what does this mean exactly? Is Emily ready to move on to the 4th grade?
Not exactly. Although Emily did a great job on this test, the grade equivalent score means that a 4th grader scored the same on the 3rd grade Iowa Achievement Test. I wouldn't pay too much attention to this column because I personally do not believe that it's a great method for the scores. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so the next column shows the national Stanine scores right here. These scores are based on dividing normal distribution into 9 parts. So going back to the bell curve, or going back to the reading comprehension, Emily scored a 7. And if you look at the bell curve, the first 3 parts are low scores, 4 through 6 are middle scores, and 7 through 9 are higher scores. So Emily did score higher on that standard scale.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so the last column that we will go over in the norm reference section is called the National Percentile Rank. This score compares Emily's scores to those of the other students in the norm group. So for example, a reading comprehension score of 79 means that Emily performed better than 79% of the students who took the test in the norm group, okay. Or in the 79th percentile.
Okay. What does this line represent?
This right here, this is the band, and it shows the average of all the overall scores for the subtest. Do you have any other questions concerning Emily's scores in the norm reference information section?
No, it seems like you have clearly explained everything so far.
Okay, great. So now we can move on to the criterion reference information here at the bottom. This section provides detailed information about the skills in each subset. The number of items for each skill, the number of attempted, the percent correct for the student, and the percent correct for the students who perform this test in the nation are all reported right here. So if we look at spelling and focus on correct spelling, we can see that there were 4 total questions in this section. We encourage all of our students to attempt to answer all of the questions, which Emily did, and she did a great job and scored 100% in this section, which is great because nationwide the students who took this test only scored 74% as an average.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to go down the list to see if there are any other subtest areas that you don't understand?
Yes, I was looking at this. What is this?
Writing conventions?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like she had some difficulty here in this area. She answered all 5. She attempted to answer all 5, but unfortunately she only got 1%. Or 1 correct, I'm sorry.
Is there anything we can do at home to help Emily in this area?
Well, it looks like this area proved to be difficult for all of the students in the norm group who took this test. The nationwide score is only 53%.
Oh, wow.
So I wouldn't worry too much. Overall, Emily is doing very well. If you look down the rank, you can see that her scores are ranging from middle to high in the ranking scale. But if you would like, when you at home, if she ever mispronounces a word, you can correctly pronounce it for her. Okay. Or on your free time in the car, you can play a game with her and finish each other's sentences properly.
Okay, that sounds good.
Emily did exceptionally well in the history section of the test. The national percent for history was only 64%. There were a total of 5 questions. Emily attempted all 5 and got them all correct with 100%.
This is great. Her father is going to be pleased when I explain to him the test results.
Do you have any other questions concerning Emily's scores on the Iowa test?
No, I feel well informed now about how Emily did on the test.
Great. Now keep in mind that this test is just a snapshot of who Emily is as a student. I will be happy to provide you a copy of this report along with the bell curve handout that we were just mentioning and referring to. And I will also provide you with samples of her work that she has done in class, so you can compare what she's done in class to the scores that she made on the Iowa Achievement Test.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you again for meeting with me about Emily's scores.
Mm-hmm. Of course, if there are any questions that come up between you and your husband, feel free to contact me. And thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you again.
Mm-hmm.